Hello, I'm Liz Van Vliet, and welcome to the Assist with Impact podcast. Join me as I explore the competencies and capabilities that allow you to assist with impact. I'll be sharing practical tips, strategies, and insights that will help you move beyond what I call the order taker zone and be that little hinge that can swing big doors. If you're ready to be more proactive and have more impact in your role, then this is the place for you. Let's get started with the episode. Well, hello, lovely listeners. Welcome to episode 168 of the Assist with Impact podcast, my second episode for 2023. And yes, I will be continuing to bring you episodes every 2 weeks this year because, to be honest, it does suit my timeframes in terms of everything else that I'm trying to get done, both personally and professionally in my world. Let me tell you a little bit about that because it's the theme of today's episode, which is another solo episode. I feel like we're almost at the end of January. I promise I'm going to launch into some interviews in February, but I'm going to bore you senseless for just one more solo episode. No, hopefully it's not boring. But this episode is to tell you a little bit why my word for 2023 took me so long to decide on. I'm not sure what you're like when it comes to this idea of choosing a word of the year. I've been a little bit probably lukewarm on the whole thing for the last couple of years. It was probably the pandemic. It felt like Groundhog Day. Every time we chose a new word, it felt like the year didn't get any different. But and look, that probably explains why it's taken me most of January to come up with my word of the year. But I feel like I've actually serendipitously, I like that word, settled on the word of the year. And you will have picked it up from the episode title. Oh, although I might change my mind, I might actually do a teaser and not tell you the word of the year in the episode title. So this might be my little drums. My word of the year is renew. And no, it's not Easter. It's just the fact that I feel that for me, I'm going to share with you some of my reasons why renew feels like the right word for me for 2023. So let me give you those reasons. Okay, so let's start with the personal. So it's just being completely honest, 2022 was not my best year health-wise. I was not at my fighting weight. I was not eating as healthily as I would have liked to. And it felt like, even though in the first year of the pandemic, even when I feel like I was probably at my strongest and fittest since I had, embarked really, since I'd been diagnosed with breast cancer really, 2022 was a complete 180. I felt like I went backwards in terms of my eating and my exercise. I have always struggled post breast cancer with my core strength because of the type of breast cancer surgery that I had. And that has left me with weakened core strength because they took some of my abdominal muscles to rebuild my chesticles, as I call them. And as a result, I have some mesh in my abdominals, which means that I have to have a really strong core in order to not feel like I'm really weak in my stomach area and for my back not to be causing me problems. And I had previously in 2020 and 2021, I had been really good at, doing my core exercise, at doing Pilates and guided physio, and I was on top of it in terms of my core strength. But 2022 was not a good year when it came to my fitness, my core strength, and as a result, I felt weak. I didn't feel strong and healthy. And, when you're then experiencing the sort of, for me, chronic pain that comes with then my back flaring up, and I have other physical side effects from having that sort of weak core, that did not play well. Let's just say it did not play well in terms of how it made me feel. So 2023 is already looking, I had already embarked in late 2022 to turn that around, or to really focus on putting some steps in place to be prioritising my physical well-being, and that's looking better. So there's already some renewal there. There's lots of green shoots, in other words. In terms of my broader well-being, I'll also be honest, this is like my truth, my honesty vault, the podcast studio. So, if you've read my book, Coming Home from Breast Cancer, you will know that I have a very, what's the best way to describe it? A very love-hate relationship with, I've always had a bit of a love-hate relationship with anything that could be addictive. I've fortunately never had a problem with smoking or anything in the drug department, but I've always had a bit of a thing about, food, like many of us do. And when it comes to moderating my alcohol intake, I know that for me, drinking too much alcohol is not good for me, because I'm not somebody that can have a couple of glasses of wine and put the bottle away and say, that's enough, no more for tonight. So 2022 saw that get a little bit out of control. Again, because I think we were coming out the other side of the pandemic, and habits and patterns had formed that were unhealthy. And so 2022 was coming to grips with that and recognising that I needed to change my little ways. So I did spend some time reflecting on that, and again, have already put some things in place in terms of my, alcohol consumption. That means that I'm starting 2023 off feeling like I have, this renew word is the right word to describe that aspect of things as well. So if we look at health and well-being, and we add in the third element of that, which is the good old sleep, oh my goodness, my sleep is so much better. I am exercising, I am eating healthier, I'm not a paragon of virtue, I would never say that, but I'm definitely a heck of a lot better. I'm the new and improved Liz compared to where I was, say, midway through last year. Now, the other area where I think renew really applies in terms of my personal life, and you might be able to hear a little bit of noises on this podcast, or perhaps not. If you could hear the sound of a little furry fuzzball chomping away at my fingers, it would be a new addition to our house, and that is, we're calling her Pepper, otherwise known as the Peppernator or the Peppernado. She is a little cavoodle, a little cross between a Cavalier, King Charles, and a poodle. She is currently just coming up to 9 weeks old. We've had her less than a week, and we are puppy training her. And yes, she is a little terror, let me just say, but she has already brought so much joy into our lives. It is so lovely. And so when I think of renew, that is another reason why that word really makes sense, because if you've been following me for a while on the socials, you will know that last year we lost our beautiful Sally, who was our cavoodle that we had. She was, when she passed away, she was just coming up to 11 years old. And sadly, she passed away of a sudden heart episode. And so we waited about over 3 months. She passed away in early September. So it's now the end of January, and we've just taken possession of the gorgeous and mischievous Pepper. And Pepper comes from the same breeder that we got Sally from. And I could not be more thrilled to continue that cycle of life. I feel like I'm going to break into the Lion King Circle of Life song, but I'm not, don't worry. It's just lovely because, there she is, there's a little noise, because she doesn't come from obviously the same parents that Sally came from, but she comes from the same breeder who remembers Sally, and it was just so lovely to continue that, that connection with the breeder that we got Sally from all those years ago, and get Pepper. So that is another aspect of my personal life that is filling me with joy and a sense of renewal. And the final thing that is really a big part of something new that I'm trying in terms of renew is I have started on Mondays doing a watercolour course. So I'm just considering it throwing a bit of paint on paper at the moment and learning some new skills and techniques. And you know me, I am a lifelong learner. I love colour and pattern. And little did I know, but was told yesterday at my first class, that watercolour painting is the hardest painting medium to learn. Who knew? Anyway, we're going to give it a go. And it's another thing that is part of this idea of renew, because for me, I've always been a creative person, but in 2022, aside from my limited gardening activities, I really didn't find time for activities and block time in my calendar for me to do things that were filling up that cup, that creative cup in my in my heart, in my spirit. And so that's something that I'm going to be doing this year. In terms of my business life, I can tell you that there's some things coming in 2023 you can look forward to, particularly over the next few months, that are all about renew in terms of my business, my EA career, and the podcast, the Assist with Impact podcast. So keep your eyes peeled. If you're not already following me on the socials, particularly Instagram, where I'm at Liz VV, that's VEEVEE, Liz VEEVEE, that's where you'll find me. Make sure you follow me over there, because that's where you're going to be seeing me posting. I'm also on Facebook at My EA Career, and I'm on LinkedIn, where you can connect with me. I am also doing a lot of renewal in terms of my environment, my workspace. So if you've been following me on the socials, you'll see that I have given my desk space a complete overhaul and really, updated my workspace to color code my books and add some new bursts of color in my background. Because, I believe strongly one of my core values is that what you see is what you get with me. And that is really important to me, that I am, Liz, what you see is what you get. There's nothing, I am very much a person that wears my heart on my sleeve, including my love of colour and colour coordinating my book stacks. So, that's something that has been a real joy for me. So that is where I'm at in terms of 2023, my word for 2023, and how that word renew really just spoke to me and resonates with me. And I am really looking forward to helping bring that word to you in 2023 and helping you renew your passion for what you do and why you do it, and helping you thrive both in your lives and in your work as administrative professionals. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see the show notes, head over to my website. It would be great if you haven't already done so. If you enjoyed the show, if you could kindly go to iTunes and leave a review. It helps other people find the show. Thanks for listening and have a great week.